Hey guys, welcome back. So today we have a nice warm day. It's about 75 degrees. We've taken our jackets off, so we decided to come out and continue our torture testing videos. We're going to run the VP9 through the new standardized gauntlet test, elemental test and gauntlet test. Now, the original video I had posted created quite the controversy, but if you watch the video carefully, I don't condemn the VP9. At the end of the video, I just say, I don't know if I'm going to continue to carry the gun or not. I didn't condemn the gun, but if you listen to how people talk about that video on the internet, you would think that everybody thinks I hate HK, which nothing could be further from the truth. I still like the VP9. I now have 3 of them. I just bought another one, a tactical, with a suppressor barrel. I still think it's one of the best striker-fired handguns on the market. My biggest concern is I had pushed the gun into a creek on our property. I had pushed it into a creek, which isn't tap water. I know there's at least one YouTuber out there that dunked their gun in tap water and fired 3 rounds and said, see, Mac's a liar. I had pushed this into a creek, which was full of sediment. I showed you the sediment. The sediment had gotten into the action of the gun. We had cleaned it and tried it several more times that afternoon. The rest of the afternoon, the gun never worked right. And that's what made me question it. Now, is that a valid test? Probably not. It's not scientific, which is why we have now come up with the elemental test and the gauntlet test, where we can somewhat scientifically subject the pistols to the exact same types of testing. But keep in mind, this is purely entertainment. We typically only have 1 sample set, okay? In this case, we have 2 because this is my actual VP9 that I used as a carry gun for a year. I carried the gun for a year. That's how much I liked it. This is the handgun that we used in the testing. You can see the broken ear. You can see the broken safety lever. I went a little crazy in that video and I caught flack for it, probably justifiably so. But I was kind of depressed with the performance of the handgun at the time. So this is the gun that was in the original video. This is my actual carry gun. I always have 2 of any carry gun. So right now I'm carrying a P01 CZ Compact. I have 2 of them. In case my primary goes down for whatever reason, has to go in for repairs, I always have a secondary. In the original test, I used my secondary pistol, my actual carry pistol. Now we've cleaned and lubricated this gun using CLP, which is my standard protocol that we've used on all pistols in this testing so far. We're using the Fiocchi 124 grain ammunition, and this ammunition actually is quite impressive. It's hot, it's pretty warm stuff. And we recently did an AREX video where we did 1,000 rounds back to back and we didn't have a single ammunition related failure, meaning a primer failed to ignite or a misshapen case didn't go into the chamber. The ammunition quality seems to be really good, and that's something that I didn't point out in that video that I want to point out here, and we'll probably continue to use the Fiocchi as long as we can get our hands on it. This is really good stuff. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and make the VP9 ready. And I'm going to fire off first 10 rounds just to demonstrate that the gun is working, okay? Here we go, first 10 rounds. Man, I love the way that gun shoots. Okay, that was a demonstration of the gun functioning. Now we're going to make the gun ready and subject it to tap water. This is not creek water. There's no sediment in it. We're going to subject it to tap water. And honestly, guys, I fully expect it to work. No bubbles, 10 rounds. Locks open, no surprise there. All right, now we're gonna move over to the sand. Now, again, guys, I'm putting a magazine in, chambering around, and we're not doing anything really all that harsh, okay? We're just laying the guns into the various elements, in this case, sand, on both sides, and just pushing them down as if perhaps you would fall on your gun in a fight, okay? You can see that the gun's not all that dirty. Basic test. We expect all guns to pass this first series of tests. 10 rounds. All right, failure to go into chamber. Let me check.
Battery.
It's out of battery. Okay, I am unable to seat the round, so I'm gonna do a remedial action. Tap, rack, and dead trigger. Nothing. It's not in battery. I pounded it into battery. Let's fire this round. Okay, 2 problems there. I'm going to go ahead and dunk the pistol, clean it off, get whatever little bit of sand got in there, wherever it was. Get the gun dried off. Make it ready. And now we'll move over to the dirt. We'll lay it in the dirt. Just press it down on one side and then the other. All right. Again, gun isn't all that dirty. 10 rounds. Dead trigger. Gun is not in battery. All right, see if I can get it into battery. Got it into battery. And it locks open, okay? Failures to go into battery. Clean the gun off good. Grab our last magazine. And this is the tough one, guys. This is the mud. This is probably the toughest on any gun. It's already in battery. We're just going to lay it in the mud, slightly push it down, turn it over, do it to the other side, and then 10 rounds. Okay, there we go, guys. Had a couple of hiccups. Performance was not horrible, but we did have a couple of failures to go into battery on the basic test. Again, we do expect all guns that we test to be able to pass this basic test with no malfunctions. So a couple of dings against the pistol. But look at that, guys. It works in tap water. I don't think that was ever the issue. All right, let's get the gun cleaned up. You know what comes next? Now we're going to do the gauntlet, guys. We're going to clean the gun up and just basically slosh it around like this. Clean off all of our magazines. Nice and smooth. And now we're going to load up the magazines and we're going to go from water to sand to dirt to mud without the cleaning cycle in between. This is the hard one. All right, guys, here we go. This is the gauntlet. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and demonstrate that the gun is working before we begin the test. We've sloshed it around in the water just like we've done every gun before it. And let's just prove that the gun is working. 10 rounds. It's working just fine. All right, so here we go. Back into the tap water, which is a little bit dirtier this time. Still not quite as dirty as the creek water. And I'm going to wait for no bubbles. No bubbles, and 10 rounds. All right, definitely no problems with the water end of it. Go straight to the sand. Chambered, we put it in, we bring up a little bit of sand over it. Again, this time, guys, we're trying to make things a little bit more difficult on the gun. Okay, push it down, kick up a little bit of sand over it. All right, shake it off a little bit, 10 rounds. And of course, a failure to go into battery. That one's quite a ways out. Let's see if we can get it into battery. We did. All right. One failure to go into battery. Go straight to the dirt. Push it down. Bring up a little bit of dirt over it. Other side. Push it down. Bring up a little bit of dirt over it. And 10 rounds. Dead trigger, out of battery, got it in, dead trigger, dead trigger, failure to feed. It's a failure to feed there. You can see the nose of the bullet trying to go into the chamber. All right, so we're going to go ahead and perform a remedial action, which is just a tap, and now we have a double feed situation. So now we have a hard malfunction. We're going to have to strip. I think it actually chambered that round, which it did. See if we can finish them out. And another failure to feed. Yep, I'm gonna have to lock it open, get that round out. And I had 2 pulls of the trigger, nothing. It was dead. I think I got trigger engagement now, and it's dead. Okay, did not lock open. Well, this doesn't bode too well for the mud test, guys. Gun looks ready to go. Stick it in the mud, push it down a little bit further, bring some mud up over it. All right, lay it on the other side. Same thing. I know, I hate this part. I just got to clear a spot for my hand. All right, here we go, 10 rounds. Failure to go into battery. Sun's so bright today I can't see anything. Failure to feed. Try to perform remedial action, tap rack. Didn't go into battery. Dead trigger. Failure to feed. Remedial action. Failure to feed. And failure to lock open. Just, that's it. So, all right, guys. That's the gauntlet on the VP9. Let's clean ourselves up here a little bit, kind of digest what we just experienced, come back and give you guys some final thoughts on what we think about the VP9's performance in our new standardized testing methodology. All right, guys, so we finished up the elemental and gauntlet test with the VP9, probably one of the most requested tests that we conduct. We wanted to get it done before the end of the year. And Sam, I'll leave this first initial comment to you. What do you think? How did the VP9 do?
So I'm coming into this. I actually never watched Tim's video on the VP9 before. I actually hate the Military Arms channel. No, I'm kidding. I actually, honestly, I didn't catch those videos. They were over a year ago,
yeah,
I think.
It's been a while.
Yeah, and just watching this out here today, I really like the VP9. As for the ergonomics, the trigger, the way it's set up, I like the gun a lot. But after seeing some simple tests that it just didn't do well in, I'd say it didn't do any better than like the Smith & Wesson M&P, if my memory served me correctly.
The M&P actually choked in tap water. So yeah, the VP9 didn't, correct. Right? So that was one of the things that people were demonstrating, saying, "Oh, look, the VP9 runs fine in tap water." Well, we never tested it in tap water. This is the first time it's ever been tested in tap water, and it did fine.
As far as going against the sand and the dirt and the mud, like Tim mentioned during the actual test itself, the elements he's subjecting it to, he's not cramming into the action. He's not burying it and freezing it overnight. He's laying it in, pressing it down, flipping it, laying it, pressing it down. That's not really that serious. It's not unrealistic. It's not that serious.
If you have your weapon out and you were to fall to the ground and it was to hit the ground, that's about what it would be exposed to.
Sure.
Just touching those elements. We're not cramming it into every nook and cranny. We're not sticking dirt and mud into it with the action open, the slide lock to the rear, empty chamber magazine out of it. The gun's fully loaded, prepped, sealed as it can be.
Yep.
And we're just basically laying the guns in these elements. So
I don't think that really demonstrates a lot of confidence in its performance and that sort of thing. Now, maybe yours has never had that problem. Maybe you have a VP9 that you shot thousands of rounds through that works great, and that's fine.
You've packed mud in the barrel and it works great. I mean, yeah,
that's fine. But here, the sample size of one that we had didn't do very well.
Okay, I'm going to go a step above. Okay, so going back, I think probably the worst we saw was the Smith & Wesson. I do want to revisit that, guys, because mine is a very early model, and it didn't make sense to me why that gun failed so badly. That's the M&P, so I do want to revisit that. I think I'm going to go back and buy a new one. I think there's some evolutionary changes to the Striker channel based upon what my Google Foo is showing me. So we're going to revisit that once again. But the Smith & Wesson failed probably the most miserably, if I remember right.
It was the most disappointing for sure.
And then we had the SIG Legion, which was a total disappointment. I would say the VP9 did better than both of those.
Yeah.
I think its performance to the elemental tests, we had basically just a couple of failures to go into battery. We had no dead triggers, just failures to go into battery. We saw the PPQ do that, I believe.
Yep.
So I think it's pretty average performance based upon some of the other guns. When we got into the gauntlet, it fell all over itself.
Yeah, those failures to feed were something we hadn't seen before.
The failures to feed were new. And I think that goes back to, in my original commentary on the gun is undersprung. That recoil spring is just too light. I know what you're going to say. Say it.
So, as Tim mentioned earlier in the video, he did pick up a newer version of the VP9, the VP9 Tactical, which has the True Glow, the suppressor height sights, and the threaded barrel. And you can tell out of the box, if you've handled a newer VP9 and this one, there is obviously a much stronger recoil spring in that gun. I mean, it is very noticeable out of the box, and that might have something to do with this. So.
It might be. I also know that when I suppressed my original VP9 with an HKparts.net barrel that I purchased, this is before H&K actually offered it as a factory option. Mine was bang, tap, bang, tap. Really? It was just undersprung. The gun runs out of energy at the last of its travel. and there's really no spring pressure that last quarter of an inch of travel. And I think that's what we were seeing that was causing the failures out here this afternoon. It's just undersprung. So, some people have said put VP40 springs in them, and that increases the reliability. And I believe that. If you increase that spring pressure, we may have overcome some of those failures to go into battery. However, it wouldn't have helped, I don't believe, with the failures to feed with the nose going up and basically
and the slide wasn't coming
all the way back.
Yeah, I don't know if that's even the Fiocchi ammo, because we've never had an issue.
No, we know that stuff's good.
And when you guys did the AREX 1,000 round test, you had no ammo related failures. So that's interesting there with that. Maybe that's a statistical anomaly with that, or maybe it's something to do with the way that HK has done the geometry of their feed ramps. I haven't, obviously I'm not
an engineer,
machinist or anything like that, but I'm guessing there's different there's different variables we can look at there of what could cause that. So if you have thoughts on that, share it below. Intelligent conversation is always welcomed.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. So I want to say that the VP9 did okay. I won't say it did great. I don't think it by far wasn't the worst pistol we've tested. Yeah. I would say it's average. It was average performance. I do like to see the guns, though, go through the elemental test, the basic test of just laying it in the elements without a hiccup. I don't think that's unreasonable to ask for a gun. We've had guns do that just fine. So anyway, guys, as always, we do appreciate any comments you have down below. We don't like flaming. I am not an HK basher. I like HKs. I continue to buy them. I just bought a new Tactical, and I still think the VP9 is a great 9mm striker-fired handgun. Will I carry it? No, I've moved over to double-action pistols. But I don't think it's a bad gun, and I do think it's a good value. But if you have any questions or comments down below, please make them down below. Also, if you would like to support the Military Arms channel, you can do that by swinging by and checking us out at Copper Custom. And, of course, if you haven't already, please check out full30.com. That's full30.com. We've taken all the web's best firearms content creators and brought them under one roof with no Tampax commercials.
Yeah. So,
free to enjoy.
Everyone complaining about commercials of the C4 Mac videos on YouTube, realize that it's your cookies and your
Google's displaying your ads
history.
Because we do see some pretty funny comments like, "Hey Mac, why am I seeing Tampax commercials? Because your wife's been using your computer? I don't know.
I have no idea. That's
or
on you.
You like Tampax for some reason. They're getting that from you guys. That's Google. Anyway, sorry. We should edit that out, but I probably won't. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll talk to you soon.